classic rock for the North Bay. It's Lori Molinaro, not Molinari.
Yep, you're right.
I'm only an honorary Italian. Bruce Cohen.
She's a native of Santa Rosa, you know.
You are.
Yeah, I grew up in Santa Rosa.
I will post this on the Lobster the DJ YouTube channel.
Great.
The video of our little interview today. And again, thank you for making this show possible, because if you didn't pick up the sponsorship when we started almost 5 years ago, I couldn't have done it. We couldn't have done it on the river, and it worked out.
We don't want you out on the streets, you know, like a shopping cart and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll make a segue for you for $1, man. I'll play a few tracks. You know, here's old school DJ style. We're going to do a set we'll call Paint by Numbers in terms of music with some number songs, including Chicago, which the Doobies tour with.
Yeah.
But tell us a story about Pete Townsend's connection with the Doobie Brothers, because I'm wearing my Who tour jacket today.
Well, it has to do with that song you just played and that album, Toulouse Street, which was our second album, the first one that ever hit. The first one sold about 8,000 copies.
Right.
The second one sold 2.7 million. There's a little difference.
Well, the first one, the record company was saying, maybe this isn't working out.
No, they couldn't get a hit record.
Right.
They just couldn't get a hit. So shows you the power of hit records, what it does for sales.
Just ask Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Anyway, in between the first and the second album, that Warner said for us to find a producer.
Right.
Well, of course, we didn't know any producers. You know, the guys were practicing in the basement of the 12th Street San Jose house.
Yeah, back where they were.
By the way, Stevie Nicks did live next door for a while.
Right, yeah, in downtown San Jose.
Yeah, 12th Street. But anyway, we were playing at a club. And I never can remember the name of it.
A little club in North Beach.
Yeah, it was downstairs. You go down these stairs into like the basement. And it was like one of those 3 sets a night, you know, and you're 1:30 in the morning, you're doing the last set.
Right.
And the Who were playing at the Civic. And this is 1970, I guess. And my roommate, who was our, quote, tour manager, right? We weren't touring except, you know, clubs.
Locally, yes.
Yeah, but he said, I'm going to go down to the Civic and see if I can bring some of the Who back to jam. And we just, yeah, sure, right. Yeah,
right.
You know, we're playing for 30 people in this club.
Yeah, sure, buddy, one of the Who will show up.
Yeah. So around 1:30, here comes Jerry with Pete Townsend. Well,
yeah,
the Doobies were big fans of the Who. You know,
Melt, knees
no, they were on stage.
Yeah, they were on stage.
They were on stage
already
playing when Jerry walked in with Pete. Well, Pete wasn't feeling any pain at that time. He was done, you know, after the show.
Back in the day when he never felt any pain.
No,
yeah.
He had a fifth of something in his hand, and we were. So I plugged him into a guitar into Tommy's amp, and he got up on the little stage there and started playing right along with the band. And well, John Hartman, who was the drummer, original drummer at that time, thought he was Keith Moon, you know, of course. And
of course.
So he starts doing, and well, Pete starts hitting his head on John's cymbals, you know, and like he does on stage with the Who, and pretty soon the drum kit's in the audience, and you know, it's the end of the show, right? So Pete gives me his phone number at home.
Wow.
And says, I really like the lads, and if you ever need anything, give me a call, right? Well, I don't think you ever expected a call, but about a year later, I was looking for this producer, and the Who were on Warner Brothers at that time, where we were recording for Warner's, and I thought, would it be great if Pete could produce the Doobies' second album?
Wow.
So I called him in London, at home. Of course, I didn't know what time it was in those days. I was in the basement working on my Harley Davidson, and I think I must have called him around 3 in the morning there. And he answered the phone, ring, 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 and it answered as Pete. And I introduced myself as the guy that managed the Doobie Brothers that he met a year ago, you know, after this show in San Francisco, and jammed with them. And he remembered, actually, and said, oh yeah, he says, how are the chaps? Very British, you know. And I said, well, they're great. I said, we're trying to do our second album. And his wife's screaming in the background, get off the phone! Get off the blanking phone, you know. And
who are you talking to?
And at the middle of the night, and he says, well, you know, I was wondering if I was wondering if you could produce our second album for Warner Brothers. He said, well, you know, Bruce, I just got off this 9-month tour, and I'm in this, doing this kind of rock opera thing, you know, and writing that, and I don't think I'm going to have time for the lads, but she's going, get off the, and now she's throwing stuff.
And you can hear this
And
on the other side of the phone, talking to
little
Pete
kids in the
Townsend.
background, now
Yeah.
they're crying.
Now the kids are crying.
She's yelling, and he says, give the
Liz.
lads my best, and click, you know.
And then you wound up with Ted Templeman, who went
Well,
on
Teddy,
to...
yeah, who did 12 albums, and
then Van Halen and so many more.
Carly Simon, and Ronstadt.
Well, since we had the story, I had time to cue up a Who song. And then we'll get to that paint by numbers set after, because we're running a little late here. But,
Well,
but we're having fun, because this is our, you know...
Well, you know, I get me talking, you know what happens, it runs late.
You know, don't... What is that? Elvis Costello song. Don't get me talking, because I can talk all night?
Yeah.
Well, here's a story about a guy named Jack, the original Who on 97.7 The River. Classic rock for the North Bay. Bruce Cohn of the Doobie Brothers Management and the BR Cone Winery, our guest.